Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Rockin' Reaction Rollers, where we react to music that we grew up with from the 60s to the 90s, and my name is Tammy. It is Wednesday night. We're not normally on, but we're not going to be on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We won't be on the next 3 days. So, for those of you who've been watching all week, you already know that. But tonight, we're going to do a couple things. I am going to play two songs. One of them is going to be a classic Thanksgiving song, which is the one I'm going to start out with. And then the second one is going to be something that I chose for Thanksgiving. So, Wayne out there, if you're listening, I am going to hold on to your birthday request until I'm either going to play it Sunday night or Monday of next week. That way you can go in with the next group with numbers, because whoever the winner of the most views is, I'm going to look that up Tuesday, will be anything before it. So anyway, and that'll be played next Friday night, since we won't be on this Friday night, if that makes sense. But I'm going to quit back yakking about stuff like that, and we're just going to get to the first song. I'm going to talk about it a little bit before we do the song. So this was a request, actually, or a suggestion from a member. And so anyway, I started out as a request, and then it kind of ended up as a suggestion. So I'm not going to name any names because it is a member, and that's all kept quiet. But they reminded me of the 1967 classic Thanksgiving song, Alice's Restaurant Massacre, which I never knew it said Massacre on the back of it, by Arlo Guthrie. So this is the first song we're going to play. Now, this is actually a true story. This was based off of a true story, this song is. It really doesn't have anything to do with Thanksgiving other than the dinner and the stuff that was thrown out. I mean, it's not a Thanksgiving song like being thankful or anything, really. But it says this song is based on a true story, and there really was an Alice. She was a librarian at the boarding school that Arlo Guthrie attended. He and some friends volunteered to help her clean out some junk after eating Thanksgiving dinner at her home in Stockbridge, Massachusetts. But there's more to this story, where Arlo Guthrie, I guess his name come up for the draft for the Vietnam War, and he gets in trouble in this song. And because he gets in trouble when he's telling this story, we'll hear it if you've never paid attention to it before. But the trouble that he got into threw him out of not being drafted to Vietnam. So this is actually also a protest song in a way. But Alice, I want to say this before we get started. There really was an Alice, like he said. She was born in Brooklyn, New York. So was Arlo Guthrie. She just passed away last Thursday on November 21st. So she didn't make it to this Thanksgiving this year, but she was 83 years old. And Arlo says out there that he talked to her not long ago, but they both knew that when they talked to each other, that it was going to be the last time talking to each other, because she had gone downhill so much. And I don't know what year that actually, oh, yeah, well, it was just last week, duh. Anyway, so that's what happened too. But Arlo Guthrie has, and this is what got me screwed up there for a minute, he hasn't performed since 2020 because he's had a series of strokes himself, and he can't perform now. So but he did say that they spoke not long ago. Now Alice, as far as Alice, she was a resident of Provincetown, Massachusetts her entire adult life, even though she was born in Brooklyn, New York. And it says she owned and operated 3 restaurants in the Berkshires called The Back Room, Takeout Alice, and Alice at Avaloch between 1965 and 1979. So we're going to get right to the song now. We'll talk more about it after we get finished. Like I said, this is an anti-war talking blues song is how they describe it. And we're doing the 1967 Alice's Restaurant Massacre. I always knew it as Alice's Restaurant, and it's definitely a Thanksgiving classic by Arlo Guthrie. So we're just going to get to it now.
song's called Alice's Restaurant. It's about Alice and the restaurant. But Alice's Restaurant is not the name of the restaurant, that's just the name of the song. And that's why I call the song Alice's Restaurant. You can get anything you want at Alice's Restaurant. You can get anything you want at Alice's Restaurant. Walk right in, it's around the back, just a half a mile from the railroad track. And you can get anything you want at Alice's Restaurant. Now it all started 2 Thanksgivings ago. It was on 2 years ago on Thanksgiving when my friend and I went up to visit Alice at the restaurant. But Alice doesn't live in the restaurant. She lives in the church nearby the restaurant in the bell tower with her husband Ray and Facha the dog. And living in the bell tower like that, they got a lot of room downstairs where the pews used to be. And having all that room, seeing as how they took out all the pews, they decided that they didn't have to take out their garbage for a long time. We got up there, we found all the garbage in there, and we decided it'd be a friendly gesture for us to take the garbage down to the city dump. So we took the half a ton of garbage, put it in the back of a red VW microbus, took shovels and rakes and implements of destruction, and headed on toward the city dump. Well, we got there, and there's a big sign and a chain across the dump saying closed on Thanksgiving, and we had never heard of a dump closed on Thanksgiving before, and with tears in our eyes we drove off into the sunset looking for another place to put the garbage. We didn't find one till we came to a side road, and off the side of the side road was another 15-foot cliff, and at the bottom of the cliff was another pile of garbage. And we decided that one big pile was better than 2 little piles, and rather than bring that one up, we decided to throw ours down. That's what we did. Drove back to the church, had a Thanksgiving dinner that couldn't be beat, went to sleep and didn't get up until the next morning when we got a phone call from Officer Obie. He said, "Kid, we found your name on an envelope at the bottom of a half a ton of garbage, and just wanted to know if you had any information about it." And I said, "Yes, sir, Officer Obie, cannot tell a lie. I put that envelope under that garbage." After speaking over for about 45 minutes on the telephone, we finally arrived at the truth of the matter and said that we had to go down and pick up the garbage and also had to go down and speak to him at the police officer station. So we got in the red VW microbus with the shovels and rakes and implements of destruction, headed on toward the police officer station. Now, friends, there was only 1 or 2 things that Obie could have done at the police station, and the first was that he could have given us a medal for being so brave and honest on the telephone, which wasn't very likely, and we didn't expect it. Another thing was that he could have bawled us out and told us never to be seen driving garbage around the vicinity again, which is what we expected. But when we got to the police officer station, there was a third possibility that we hadn't even counted upon, and we was both immediately arrested, handcuffed. And I said, "Obie, I don't think I can pick up the garbage with these handcuffs on." He said, "Shut up, kid. Get in the back of the patrol car," and that's what we did. Sat in the back of the patrol car and drove to the, quote, "scene of the crime," unquote. I want to tell you about the town of Stockbridge, Massachusetts, where this happened here. They got 3 stop signs, 2 police officers and 1 police car, but when we got to the scene of the crime, there was 5 police officers and 3 police cars, being the biggest crime of the last 50 years, and everybody wanted to get in a newspaper story about it. And they was using up all kinds of cop equipment that they had hanging around the police officer station. They was taking plaster, tire track, footprints, dog smelling prints, and it took 27 8x10 color glossy photographs with circles and arrows and a paragraph on the back of each one explaining what each one was to be used as evidence against us. Took pictures of the approach, the getaway, the northwest corner, the southwest corner, and that's not to mention the aerial photography.
I'm going to stop it right here for a minute. I might have to stop it twice because this is actually an 18-minute song. So anyway, I think I'm going to have to stop it twice. They might not let me put it out otherwise. So I'm just going to say a little bit in between everything. And if the song's too long for you, I just want to make sure everybody out there has a happy Thanksgiving, or I want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. And hopefully you got some place to go, or you would all be invited here because I'm doing the cooking, and I got to get busy after this. But anyway, we're just going to get back to this long song, but it is a Thanksgiving classic, 1967 Alice's Restaurant Massacre by Arlo Guthrie, and we're just going to get back to it.
After the ordeal, we went back to the jail. Obie said he was gonna put us in the cell. Said, kid, I'm gonna put you in the cell. I want your wallet and your belt. And I said, Obie, I can understand you wanting my wallet, so I don't have any money to spend in the cell, but what do you want my belt for? And it said, kid, we don't want any hangings. Said, Obie, did you think I was gonna hang myself for littering? Obie said he was making sure, and friends Obie was, 'cause he took out the toilet seat so I couldn't hit myself over the head and drown. And he took out the toilet paper so I couldn't bend the bars, roll the toilet paper out the window, slide down the roll and have an escape. Obie was making sure, and it was about 4 or 5 hours later that Alice, remember Alice? It's a song about Alice. Alice came by with a few nasty words to Obie on the side, bailed us out of jail. We went back to the church, had another Thanksgiving dinner that couldn't be beat, and didn't get up until the next morning when we all had to go to court. We walked in, sat down. Obie came in with the 27 8x10 colored glossy pictures with the circles and arrows and a paragraph on the back each one. Sat down. Man came in, said, all rise. We all stood up, and Obie stood up with the 27 8x10 colored glossy pictures, and the judge walked in, sat down with the seeing eye dog, and he sat down. We sat down. Obie looked at the seeing eye dog. And then the 27 8x10 colored glossy pictures with the circles and arrows and a paragraph on the back of each one, and looked at the seeing eye dog. And then the 27 8x10 colored glossy pictures with the circles and arrows and a paragraph on the back of each one, and began to cry, 'cause Obie came to the realization that it was a typical case of American blind justice, and there wasn't nothing he could do about it. And the judge wasn't gonna look at the 27 8x10 colored glossy pictures with the circles and arrows and a paragraph on the back of each one, explaining what each one was to be used as evidence against us. And we was fined $50 and had to pick up the garbage in the snow, but that's not what I came to tell you about. Came to talk about the draft. We got a building down New York City, it's called Whitehall Street, where you walk in and you get injected, inspected, detected, infected, neglected, and selected. I went down to get my physical examination one day, and I walked in and sat down. Got good and drunk the night before, so I looked and felt my best when I went in that morning. 'Cause I wanted to look like the all-American kid from New York City. I mean, I wanted to feel like I wanted to be the all-American kid from New York. And I walked in, sat down, I was hung down, brung down, hung up, and all kinds of mean, nasty, ugly things. And I walked in, I sat down, and gave me a piece of paper, said, kid, see the psychiatrist, room 604. And I went up there, I said, shrink, I want to kill. You know, I want to kill. I want to see blood and gore and guts and veins in my teeth. Eat dead, burnt bodies. I mean, kill. And I started jumping up and down, yelling, kill. And it started jumping up and down with me, and we was both jumping up and down, yelling, kill. And the sergeant came over, pinned the little arm, set me down the wall, said, you're our boy. You feel too good about it. Proceeded on.
Okay, I'm going to stop this song for, again, it's in the middle of it. We are going to try to get all the way through it here, but I'm just going to read a little about Arlo Guthrie while we're taking a break here. He's an American folk singer-songwriter. He's known for singing songs of protest against social injustice and short-telling while performing songs following the tradition of his father, Woody Guthrie. Arlo is married. He has 4 kids, and they're all musicians as well. Again, this is an anti-war talking blues song, but it's actually how Arlo Guthrie actually dodged the draft. But while we're speaking of that kind of thing, let's be sure to keep all of our servicemen and women in our prayers through Thanksgiving. It really is hard for them to be away from their families. I know when our son Stephen was gone he was just gone for a year, but it seemed like an eternity. And when the holidays came, it was pretty sad. So anyway, let's keep those people in mind too. We're going to get back to the song. We're doing 1967, Alice's Restaurant Massacre by Arlo Guthrie.
On down the hall, getting more injections, inspections, detections, neglections, and all kinds of stuff that they was doing to me at the thing there. And I was there for 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. I was there for a long time, going through all kinds of mean, nasty, ugly things, and I was just having a tough time there. And they was inspecting, injecting every single part of me, and they wasn't leaving no part untouched. Proceeded through, and when it finally came to see the very last man, I walked in, sat down after a whole big thing there, and I walked up and said, "What do you want?" He said, "Kid, we only got one question. Have you ever been arrested?" And I proceeded to tell him the story of Alice's Restaurant Massacre with full orchestration and 5-part harmony and stuff like that, and then all the phenomena stopped me right there and said, "Kid, did you ever go to court?" I proceeded to tell him the story of the 27 8x10 colored glossy pictures with the circles and arrows and a paragraph on the back of each one that stopped me right there and said, "Kid, I want you to go over and sit down on that bench that says Group W. Now, kid." And I walked over to the bench there, and there's Group W is where they put you if you may not be moral enough to join the army after committing your special crime. And there was all kinds of mean, nasty, ugly-looking people on the bench there. There's mother rapers, father stabbers, father rapers sitting right there on the bench next to me, and one they was mean and nasty and ugly and horrible and crime-fighting guys are sitting there on the bench. And the meanest, ugliest, nastiest one, the meanest father raper of them all, was coming over to me, and he was mean and ugly and nasty and horrible and all kinds of things. And he sat down next to me and said, "Kid, what'd you get?" I said, "I didn't get nothing. I had to pay $50 and pick up the garbage." He said, "What were you arrested for, kid?" And I said, "Littering." And they all moved away from me on the bench there to carry on all kinds of mean, nasty things, till I said, "And creating a nuisance." And they all came back, shook my hand, and we had a great time on the bench talking about crime, mother stabbing, father raping, all kinds of groovy things that we was talking about on the bench. And everything was fine. We were smoking cigarettes and all kinds of things until the sergeant came over, had some paper in his hand, held it up and said, "Kids, this piece of paper's got 47 words, 37 sentences, 58 words. We want to know details of the crime, time of the crime, and else kind of thing. Got a secretary tune about the crime. Want to know the arresting officer's name, and else kind of thing. You got to say and talk for 45 minutes, and nobody understood a word that he said. But we had fun filling out the forms and playing with the pencils on the bench there. And I filled out the massacre with the 4-part harmony and wrote it down there just like it was, and everything was fine. And I put down a pencil and I turned over the piece of paper, and there on the other side, in the middle of the other side, away from everything else on the other side. In parentheses, capital letters, quotated, read the following words. Kid, you rehabilitated yourself. I went over to the sergeant and said, Sergeant, you've got a lot of damn gall to ask me if I've rehabilitated myself. I'm sitting here on the bench. I'm sitting here on the Group W bench. 'Cause you want to know if I'm moral enough to join the army, burn women, kids, houses, and villages after being a litter bug. He looked at me and said, Kid, you don't like your kind. We're gonna send your fingerprints off to Washington, and friends, somewhere in Washington, enshrined in some little folders, a study in black and white of my fingerprints. And the only reason I'm singing you the song now is because you may know somebody in a similar situation. Or you may be in a similar situation, and if you're in a situation like that, there's only one thing you can do, is walk into the shrink wherever you are. Just walk in and say, shrink. You can get anything you want at Alice's restaurant and walk out. You know, if just one person does it, they may think he's really sick and they won't take him. And if two people do it in harmony, they think they're both faggots and it won't take either of them. And if 3 people do it, can you imagine 3 people walking in, singing a bar, Alice's restaurant, and walking out? They may think it's an organization. And can you imagine 50 people a day? I said 50 people a day walking in, singing a bar, Alice's restaurant, walking out. And friends, they may think it's a movement. And that's what it is. The Alice's Restaurant Anti-Massacre movement. And all you gotta do to join is to sing it the next time it comes around on the guitar. With feeling. So we'll wait till it comes around on the guitar here. Sing it when it does. Here it comes. You can get anything you want at Alice's restaurant. You can get anything you want at Alice's restaurant. Walk right in, it's around the back, just a half a mile from the railroad track. And you can get anything you want at Alice's restaurant. That was horrible. Want to end war and stuff, you gotta sing loud. You could put a lot. I've been singing the song now for 25 minutes. I could sing it for another 25 minutes. I'm not proud or tired. So we'll wait till it comes around again, and this time with 4-part harmony and feeling. We're just waiting for it to come around is what we're doing. Alright now. You can get anything you want at Alice's restaurant. Accepting Alice, you can get anything you want at Alice's restaurant. So walk right in, it's around the back, just a half a mile from the railroad track. And you can get anything you want at Alice's restaurant. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da, at Alice's restaurant.
I'm going to cut off the clap in there. I think it was going on a little bit too long. Interesting. And I'd read something too that I didn't have written down here, that the reason they were at Alice's was because on Thanksgiving every year she liked to open her home, or I thought it was one of the restaurants, to, the homeless or the hippies, and he considered himself a hippie, and just people that didn't have, any other place to go. Like a lot of churches do that around here still and stuff, which I think is very sweet. But anyway, she would open up and have Thanksgiving dinner for them. So I don't know if that's what projected them to want to take the trash out to begin with, was they thought, well, she's giving us a free meal, maybe we'll help her out and get this trash out of here. I don't know. But anyway, I think we said pretty much all there was to say about him and the song. Yeah, it was an 18-minute and I think 36-second song. So it's pretty darn long, and I don't really know if I've actually listened to the whole thing before all the way through. There are parts of it that I don't remember. So anyway, but it is a classic, and it's played on the radio stations, or the classic radio stations around here still too. I'm sure probably one's on right now. But anyway, we're going to go for the evening, or go for this one. I am going to put one more song out, and this is going to be a song from me that I'm going to put out next, and then that's going to be it. And then for those of you that are traveling out there already, or getting ready to tomorrow, be careful, be safe on the roads, and everybody have a great Thanksgiving. And like I said, just be safe, and we'll see you guys back here on Sunday night. Hit like underneath the video if you like it. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and peace out.